This is my live trading account, the usual VPS that I always show you. As you can see, here are all the experts running, so all the ones I use on my account. You see, there are quite a few, about 30. It's not a demo, it's not a test, it's not a simulation. It's a real trading account, the one I use for myself. These are systems that work while I do other things. I go to construction sites, I follow my real estate operations, I do other things, I live, I have fun, and I live my life. Meanwhile, these work for me. And today this account has doubled. We started with 10,000 and now we have 21,000 and something. So we have more than doubled the account. And do you want me to tell you something? I absolutely don't care, not at all. If you think doubling is an incredible result, well, you haven't understood anything. Because doubling is easy, yes, it's very easy, much easier than you think. The real problem is doubling and then not losing it all. Now let's take a look at some data from this account on MyFXBook, so there's no more talk. You can't cheat there. Welcome everyone, I'm Andrea, your automated trader, and if you like what I do, don't forget to leave a nice like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next content I'll be posting. So this is the MyFXBook of my account. As you can see, we've made a 113% profit. Here is the equity. The interesting thing, however, is that the drawdown was relatively low, right? In 6 months, yes, we doubled the account, but we only had a 23% drawdown. So all things considered, it's acceptable. It's not an out-of-scale value. If I had had a 50 or 60% drawdown, well, that would mean I was pushing a bit too hard. Instead, we took it easy, but still achieved a good result. You see, the equity curve isn't great. It started off, went up, then down, then back up again. Then there was this whole sideways period. And then we started again from this low point and gradually kept climbing. And in the last few weeks, it went really well. That much is undeniable. Let's take a look at which symbols we worked on, where we made the most profit, where we lost, and where things were just so-so. Let's take a detailed look at how things went. So here we have all the equities with profits in euros, obviously in money, showing how much we earned on each one and how much we lost on each one. So these are all the symbols that we trade in our portfolio. Let's start with the worst ones, of course, and see which they are. So the worst of all, as you can see, is euro-dollar. On euro-dollar, we've always lost since we started. So this doesn't mean anything because maybe it's just a negative period for our strategies on euro-dollar. Who cares? Maybe things will go well in 6 months. That's not why I'm removing it from the portfolio, right? It's a negative period, oh well. Then we also have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is slightly negative, so just a little, but still, it also had a neutral initial phase, gained a bit, and then had a long period where we've been losing. So it doesn't fit well with what we're doing. Even in this case, I'm not too worried. I leave it there. Maybe sooner or later, it will be the strategy that performs well, while others that are doing well today will do poorly. That's exactly the effect of the portfolio, right? We want to have many strategies so that when one does poorly, another one makes up for it. These, let's say, are the two that are currently at a loss, and there are only two. Then we have US 30, which, as you can see, initially we didn't trade at all. In fact, it's completely flat. Then at a certain point, I developed some experts for this symbol as well. So I started trading it. Obviously, I don't trade it very much, so I'm almost at zero. I haven't made big gains, nor have I had big losses. Same thing with the US 500. We started trading it in January. Here we have a bit of profit, but that's just at the beginning. So these are the latest experts I had created. As for the pound, we've always traded it from the start since September, and I've never changed any settings, so I have just one expert. You can see that it started off, had a good period, then was slightly sideways, a bit of a decline, but it's still in profit. Then we have the DAX, which has been up and down, let's say, hovering around zero, sometimes making a bit of profit, sometimes losing a bit, but lately it has started to perform better. Obviously, in the last few weeks, it hasn't gone particularly well also because the indices have dropped a lot and we only trade the DAX long. So it's clear that when the DAX keeps falling, I suffer more because I work it a lot on the long side and very little on the short side. Then we have the equity of the US 100, the Nasdaq. As you can see, the Nasdaq has generally performed quite well because we started, then it went up, well, it dropped a bit, then it had a fairly good period where it steadily rose slightly, then it lost, as always happens with all strategies. We had a drawdown period, and in recent days, instead, it has recovered strongly. So this is also another interesting thing because on one hand, we have the DAX, which is an index that is performing poorly, and on the other hand, we have the Nasdaq, which is doing well. And it's also an index, so one compensates for the other in the overall strategy, right? Then we have the yen, which for a long period was one of the best crosses we had. As you can see, up until around these points, it was the best thing we had in the portfolio, but then it also started to go into drawdown and began to lose. At a certain point, it will start to rise again. It's really part of our philosophy, of our system. So it has good moments and bad moments. It doesn't matter. And then the last one, the one that allowed us to earn the most, which is clearly gold, where we can say that right now we are strongest because we are doing extremely well with gold. You see, this is gold. We started off sideways, then it went through a phase of strong expansion, followed by a slightly negative period, and then it took off again very strongly. We really earned a lot. But even here you can see that the equity is not regular. It's not an equity that always goes up without losses. It's a real equity. It's genuine. Sideways periods with a bit of a decline, and strong expansions. When everything goes well, we make a lot of money on gold. But it's not guaranteed that you'll always make a profit. It depends on the period. This also shows you that the fact that an expert loses doesn't mean anything, because if during this period I had said about gold, from here on I'm losing, I'll remove all the systems on gold. Just look at the rally I would have missed in the last month. So you can't judge an expert just because it performs badly for a few months like the first two we saw. They perform badly? Oh well, who cares? They'll do better next year. Let's take a closer look at the data from our MyFX. So, as you can see, we've made 1,786 trades. The win rate is quite low because it's 43%, so it's not like we have a very high win rate. Obviously, we're very asymmetric, right? When things go well, we earn a lot, and when things go badly, we just lose our small portion, which is the stop loss. The profit factor is 1.18, so nothing extraordinary, but it still allows us to earn well because we've doubled the account in 6 months. Here you have all the other statistics. If you like, you can take a look at them and see some numbers. Let's see. One last thing, the months. As you can see here too, it's not like we always make money. The first month we made 25, then 22, then 21, then -7. Well, that's part of the game. There will be months when we end the month in the negative. It's no big deal. But then, after that -7, we had these following months that went well again. A +15, a -2, basically 0, and in the last month we made a 25% profit. Now listen to me carefully, because everything you've seen up to now is not the result, it's the consequence. You look at a chart like this and think you've understood everything. You think, great, he doubled his money, so what he's doing must work. No, you haven't understood anything, absolutely nothing, because there are plenty of people who double their money, plenty. And then what happens after they double their money? They always end up back at 0 because they don't have a model. They just have luck, excessive leverage, ego, and above all, they don't know what they're doing. There are two people, for example, who both double their money. One has a model, the other just happened to catch a favorable market phase for what he's doing. From the outside, they look the same, but they're absolutely not, because one will last for years, while the other will disappear after a few months. The problem is that you can't tell them apart. Now I'll tell you about these past 6 months, not the chart, but the actual reality of my last 6 months. These months haven't been easy, they haven't been explosive months, they haven't been wow months. They've been slow months, at times boring, and sometimes even frustrating. Days without any movement, days in drawdown, days when the equity didn't move at all. And this is the part you don't want to see, because it's the part that doesn't create hype, doesn't make you dream, but it's exactly there that everything is built. The hardest thing isn't creating the systems, it's eliminating them, because at the beginning everything works perfectly. Beautiful back tests, perfect curves, perfect numbers, but then you go live and things change. And that's when you understand, that's when you realize what's real and what's fake. And most of it is fake, and you have to start doing something you never want to do, start cutting. Cutting without mercy, without attachment, without any emotion. I took systems that were fantastic in backtests and threw them away, tossed them in the trash because they performed terribly in live trading. I didn't get attached to the system. I just took it and trashed it. That's it. I'll make others. Basically, in these 6 months, I didn't lose. I paid a price to get data. I paid with time, performance, and speed to obtain something much more important. The real data I needed to understand how my model worked in live trading. And no test could give me that. Real distribution, real behavior, real market. I sacrifice system performance to buy certainty. And you really need to understand this sentence because it's the opposite of what you're probably doing. Now the model is finished, locked, completed. And nothing else is done, nothing is touched. You simply watch how it operates. This is where people fall apart because they can't stay still. They can't resist touching anything. This for 2 is a bit below average. Yes, it's below average because it should have arrived earlier. But it didn't arrive earlier because I was building and I deliberately slowed down. You want to make money, but I want to build a machine that makes money. You chase after results while I build a structure. You react and I execute. If this account goes from 10,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 to 100,000 to a million, it won't be because I'm better. It will only be because I don't touch anything. I set up my model and let it run. There will come a day when I lose 100,000 euros in a single day. Patience, it's inevitable. It's part of my model and it will hurt. Of course it will hurt because I'm not a machine. Losing money hurts everyone. But at that moment, I know I shouldn't touch anything. I have to let the statistics play out without interfering, without making changes, without acting impulsively. The problem isn't the system, the problem is you. It's you who interferes, who makes changes. In the end, you ruin everything. Fortunately, I've eliminated this variable because I don't touch a single thing. This 2 on the account isn't the result, it's just the end of the phase where I had to build. From now on, yes, the real game begins. If you liked this video and found it useful, don't forget to send it to a friend on WhatsApp because that's how money circulates. See you in the next video.